The late 1960s was a period of immense social upheaval and political activism. The Vietnam War, which had escalated throughout the decade, was a focal point of global protest. In the United States, the anti-war movement was gaining momentum, drawing in students, intellectuals, and artists who were vehemently opposed to what they saw as an unjust and imperialistic conflict. Simultaneously, the civil rights movement was challenging systematic racism and inequality, while across the Atlantic, Europe was witnessing its own waves of protests, particularly in France and the United Kingdom. John Lennon was increasingly becoming a vocal critic of the state of the world, and the Beatles themselves were evolving as well, with their music reflecting more mature and socially conscious themes, particularly after their 1966 album Revolver. In 1965, the Beatles were awarded the MBE, one of the United Kingdom's highest honours, by Queen Elizabeth II. This recognition was for their contributions to British culture and their significant impact on the country's economy through their international success. The award was a mark of establishment recognition, cementing the Beatles not just as pop stars but as cultural ambassadors of Britain. Paul McCartney, known for his diplomatic and somewhat traditional approach, accepted the honour with pride and a sense of responsibility. George Harrison and Ringo Starr also expressed their gratitude, seeing the award as a testament to their hard work and the universal appeal of their music. The Beatles collectively embraced the recognition as a sign of their cultural impact and the changing dynamics of British society, where popular music was beginning to be seen as a legitimate and influential art form. However, the honour was not without its controversies. The British honours system, with its imperial connotations, was often criticised for being out of touch with contemporary values. Some traditionalists balked at the idea of pop musicians receiving such prestigious recognition, while others, including Lennon, harboured their own reservations about the system and what it represented. In 1969, Lennon's voicing of his political opinions became louder, and his relationship with Yoko Ono had significantly influenced his political outlook. Together, they embarked on several high-profile peace campaigns, the most famous of which were the Bed-ins for Peace in Amsterdam and Montreal, where they invited the press into their hotel room to discuss peace and protest the Vietnam War. Lennon's political awakening was also evident in his music. Before 1968, the Beatles had remained largely apolitical, only occasionally addressing issues like segregation and LSD use. Their silence on things like the Vietnam War, for example, was partly due to their manager, Brian Epstein. After Epstein's death, Lennon's political awareness grew, leading to a more outspoken stance. This new political consciousness led to the creation of Revolution 1, the first incarnation of Revolution, a song that directly referenced Mao Zedong and questioned the violent nature of revolutions. The inspiration for this radical departure came during a stay at Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's ashram. Lennon felt it was about time the Beatles stopped being silent on issues like this and actually engaged with them head-on. However, Lennon's political shift and creative resurgence caused tension within the band. While McCartney and Harrison participated in recording Revolution 1, they were hesitant to release it as a single. They didn't think it was good enough. Instead, the single Hey Jude was released. A faster, hard rock version of Lennon's first attempt was included as the B-side. Lennon's initial arrangement, Revolution 1, the slower, bluesy number, is included on the White Album, as is Revolution 9, an abstract collage of sounds that came together at the end of recording Revolution 1. Now, McCartney and Harrison told Lennon that the first incarnation of Revolution, Revolution 1, was just too slow to be put out as a single. Lennon, however, believed that McCartney and Harrison were threatened by his rejuvenated interest in songwriting. His intense relationship with Yoko Ono and heroin use had hindered his ability and desire to write for the Beatles for a period of time. Despite these internal conflicts, Lennon's political voice became a defining point of his post-Beatles career, addressing various social and political issues, from racial injustice to the need for world peace, on and off of his records. On November 25, 1969, John Lennon returned his MBE to the Queen. His gesture was accompanied by a letter, which succinctly outlined his reasons for rejecting the honour. The letter read, "Your Majesty, I am returning my MBE as a protest against Britain's involvement in the Nigeria-Biafra thing, against our support of America in Vietnam, and against cold turkey slipping down the charts. With love, John Lennon of Bag." The Queen never replied, which is a bit rude. So what was Lennon actually saying in this letter? Let's have a deeper look. Firstly, he was opposing Britain's role in the Nigeria-Biafra conflict. The Nigerian Civil War from 1967 to 1970, also known as the Biafran War, was a brutal conflict that resulted in significant civilian casualties and a humanitarian crisis. The British government's support for the Nigerian federal government, which was fighting against the secessionist state of Biafra, was heavily criticised. Lennon's protest against Britain's involvement was a stand against what he saw as complicity in violence and oppression. Secondly, he opposed the support of America in Vietnam. The United Kingdom, while not directly involved in the Vietnam War, was a key ally of the United States and provided political support for American actions. Lennon's objection to this support was a direct condemnation of the war and the broader implications of Western imperialism and military aggression. And thirdly, he was opposed to his song Cold Turkey falling down the UK charts, which was of course the fault of the monarchy. Truthfully, I think Lennon included that bit to undermine the seriousness of the MBE, and perhaps undermine the meaning of the monarchy in general. Now, here's a fun fact for you. A draft of this letter, the one you're seeing on screen now, was found tucked inside a record sleeve someone bought from a car boot sale for £10. This isn't the one he sent to the Queen because his signature is smudged, as you can see. The letter was later valued at £60,000. Imagine that, you buy a record for a tenner and then somehow you've made a £59,990 profit. Result: Lennon's decision to return his MBE was met with a mixed reaction. The establishment's reaction was predictably dismissive. The act of returning an MBE was unprecedented, and while it didn't lead to any immediate political changes, it did further solidify Lennon's reputation for a counter-cultural figure and a voice for peace. In the years following his protest, Lennon continued to be an outspoken activist. His music and public statements increasingly reflected his commitment to peace and social justice. The return of the MBE became a symbolic moment in the broader narrative of Lennon's life, marking a definitive break from his previous life as a pop star to a more discerning political activist. Hey, while you're here, why not continue a little bit further down this Beatles YouTube rabbit hole? Click over here to watch my video all about the theory that Paul McCartney actually died in 1966 and was replaced by a double.